Azure Data Engineer is one certificate loved by many who want to build a successful career in data engineering. And we are making that a little bit easier for you by helping you understand data engineering concepts and familiarize you with the sample exam questions. Hello and welcome back to the Tech Blackboard. In today's part 17 of DP203 exam Q&A series, we are going to cover 10 very important questions, and today is a mixed bag of questions on many different topics on DP203. We have already covered 196 questions in last 16 parts, including a case study that was covered in part 15. For the full course coverage, watch all the previous parts. Keep in mind to prepare for case studies that I just mentioned. Very important if you really want to pass DP203 exam. In case you like to learn in offline mode, then you can get a free PDF file containing all the 10 questions with answers discussed in this video. And for that, you have to tell me the correct answers for the question number 201 and 206. Similarly, you can get a free PDF file for all the previous parts. The links are there in the description box. So let's begin the part 17. And friends, if you remember, the last video, part 16, was ended with a series of questions based on a same scenario. So today, I thought of opening this part as well with another set of questions based on same business scenario. So let's read our question number 197. The question says that you are developing a solution that will use Azure Stream Analytics. The solution will accept an Azure Blob Storage named customers. The file will contain both in-store and online customer details. The online customers will provide a mailing address. Now you have a file in Blob Storage named location incomes that contains median incomes based on the location. Now the catch is that the file is rarely used. Further, the question says that you need to use an address to look up a median income based on the location, and you must output the data to Azure SQL database for immediate use and to Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 for long-term retention. The solution given here is that you implement a stream analytics job that has two streaming inputs, one query and two outputs. Does this meet the goal? So basically, this solution that you see here, you have to tell whether this solution will be able to fulfill this business scenario. The correct answer for this question is no. So what exactly is the correct solution? Let me show you two more variations of the same question, and along with that, I will also tell you the correct solution. So here comes question number 198, which is exactly the same question. However, this time the solution is you implement a stream analytics job that has one query and two output. Does this meet the goal? And this time also the correct answer is no. So let me show you what is the correct answer. And here comes our question number 199 with correct solution. And this time the solution says that you implement a stream analytics job that has one streaming input, one reference input, two queries and four outputs. Does this meet the goal? And this time the correct answer is yes. So here comes the justification for the same. And here you can see that as per the question, we need one reference input for location incomes. And you can see here the question says that this file, which is location incomes, is rarely used. Then we need two queries, one for the in-store customer and one for the online customers. So how did I reach to this conclusion? Because in the question, it says that the file contain both in-store and online customers. So that's why you would need two queries, one for the in-store customer and the other one for the online customers. Then the last reasoning says that for each query, two outputs are needed. That makes a total of 4 outputs. So from where exactly I get these two outputs? Here in the question, you can see that we have two outputs. One is Azure SQL database and the other one is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So hopefully you understand we have two output, but for each output we have two type of customers. One is in-store and one is online. So that's why we have now 4 outputs. And once I consider all these reasoning that are given here in this section, I can say that this solution is the best fit for this kind of business case. Hopefully you got the reasoning. In case you still have any question, do let me know in the comment section. Now let's move ahead to the question number 200, which is a very interesting question. The question says that an on-premises data warehouse has the following fact table. You can see that we have two fact tables here, both having columns date key, product key and region key. There are 120 unique product keys and 65 unique region keys. Here you can see that we are given with details of two fact tables. One is sales table, and the comment given here is that the table is 600 GB in size. Date key is used extensively in the where clause in the query. Product key is used extensively in the join operation, and the region key is used in grouping. Also given the severity 5% of the record relate to one of the 40 region. Then we are given with the detail of another fact table named as invoice, and here it says that the table is 6 GB in size. Date key and product key are used extensively in where clause in the queries, and also given that region key is used for grouping. Further, the question says that the queries that use the data warehouse take a long time to complete. You plan to migrate the solution to use Azure Synapse Analytics. You need to ensure that the Azure-based solution optimizes query performance and minimizes the processing skew. What should you recommend? And of course, you have to answer the question for both of the tables, the sales table and the invoice table. So let me first tell you the answer, and then I will take you to the Microsoft documentation to help you understand these answers. Coming to the sales table, here we are given with distribution type and distribution column. The correct answer for distribution type is hash distributed, and the correct answer for distribution column is product key. Coming to the invoice table, for distribution type, here we have the correct answer as hash distributed, and for the distribution column, this time we have region key as the correct answer. Now this is the Microsoft documentation where you can have the guidance for designing distributed table using dedicated SQL pool in Azure Synapse Analytics. Here you can read that this article contains recommendation for designing hash distributed and round robin distributed tables in dedicated SQL pool. A very similar example is also given on this page, and for that you have to scroll a little bit more. Here you can see we are given with the example, and in this example we are given with the table that is called fact internet sales, and in our case it was sales table. So here you can see that we are given with similar kind of keys. We have product key, order date key, customer key, promotion key, and lot of other information is also given. And also my friends, if you remember, we chose product key as the answer for the distribution column, and exactly same Microsoft has also given in their answer. They have also chosen product key as the distribution column. Similarly, you can come on to this page and understand why we have chosen hash distributed as the answer for the distribution type. On the other hand, why we have chosen product key or the region key for the distribution column. The link for this documentation is available in the description box. Now let's move on to the next question. Question number 201. The question says that the application that publish messages to the Azure Event Hub very frequently will get the best performance using advanced message queuing protocol, also known as AMQP, because it establishes a persistent socket. You have to tell whether it's a true statement or a false statement. And the correct answer for this question is that this one is a true statement. And the reason is that the publishers can either use HTTPS or AMQP. To give you a quick starter, AMQP opens a socket and can send multiple messages over that socket. So that's why this is a true statement. Now coming to the question number 202, the question says that if an event hub goes offline before a consumer group can process the event it holds, those events will be lost. Is it a true statement or a false statement? My friends, this one is a false statement. Why? Because events are persistent. Each consumer group has its own cursor maintaining its position within the partition. The consumer groups can resume the processing at their cursor position when the event hub is available again. So that means that the events will not be lost. And once again, I will say events are persistent. Keep this very important point always in your mind. Now let's move on to another bit-sized but interesting questions. Here it comes, question number 203. The question says that by default, how many partitions will a new event hub will have? Your options are 1, 2, 3, 4 or 8. And the correct answer for this question is 4. So friends, by default, event hubs have 4 partitions. Now just to understand what are partitions, partitions are buckets within an event hub. Each publication will go into only one partition and each consumer may read from one or more partition. Moving on with the question number 204, the question says what is the maximum number of activities per pipeline in Azure Data Factory? Your options are 40, 60, 80, 100 or 150. The correct answer for this question is 40. And now let's jump on to the next question, question number 205. The question says that you use Azure Stream Analytics to receive tweeted data from Azure Event Hubs and to output the data to an Azure Blob Storage account. You need to output the count of tweets during the last 5 minutes every 5 minutes. Which windowing function should you use? Your options are a 5-minute sliding window, a 5-minute session window or a 5-minute tumbling window. The last option has a 1-minute hop. And the correct answer for this question is option C, a 5-minute tumbling window. And here on this documentation which says Introduction to Stream Analytics Windowing Function, you can read about all the windowing function. For example, tumbling window, hopping window, sliding window and session window. But for now, let's read on the tumbling window. Here it comes. Here you can read that tumbling window functions are used to segment a data stream into distinct time segments and perform a function against them, such as an example given below. The key differentiator of tumbling window are that they repeat, they do not overlap, and an event cannot belong to more than one tumbling window. Here you can see that we have a similar example where it says that tell me the count of tweets per time zone every 10 seconds. And here you can see that Microsoft has given a pictorial representation of tumbling window along with a sample query. Link to this documentation is right there in the description box. Please do not miss to read about all the windowing functions. Moving on with the next question. Here we have question number 206, which is the last question for today. The question says that you are creating a new notebook in Azure Databricks. Which switch should you use to switch between the languages? The first option given to you is percentage symbol. The second option is @ symbol. Then we have square brackets and then we have round brackets. The correct answer for this question is option A, the percentage symbol. So basically my friends, to change the languages in Databricks cell to either Scala, SQL, Python or R, you have to prefix the cell with percentage symbol followed by the languages. To give you a quick reference, here we have percentage Python, percentage R, percentage Scala and percentage SQL. So this way, by the use of percentage switch, you can change between the languages. I hope you enjoyed today's questions on DP203. Please do not miss to watch our other exciting Q&A series on DP900, AZ104, which includes multiple case studies. Similarly, we have series on AZ900 and AI900. And of course, if you are the absolute Azure beginner, then Azure Fundamentals series is just the right choice for you. Links to all these videos are right there in the description box. And friends, before you close this video, if you have got any value today, please like and share this video to help us reach more and more cloud learners. Subscribe to the channel and share your feedback. Join us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter where you get short updates in cloud space. Thank you so much for learning with us. I will see you in the next video. Till then, stay fit, keep learning and thanks for watching.
If this video has added any value in your learning, a like and subscribe is highly appreciated. Share this video in your family and friends to spread and expand their learning. Your comments and feedback give me a chance to interact with you and I look forward for them. We will meet again in our next video. Till then, stay fit, keep learning, and thanks for watching.